Also, I want you to think about what things could be coming up throughout this year. So same thing with every year. Anything that might be coming up this year, whether it's something that happens every year, and what could be coming up for this year specifically. Hi everybody, thanks for clicking on this video and welcome to the beginning of my savings, budgeting, and YouTube journey. I am here to represent the hardworking single parents. On this channel, I experiment with different budgeting styles, savings goals, and I share the strategies I learn as I go. So if that sounds interesting at all to you, please go ahead and click the like button and subscribe to follow my journey. Okay, everybody, so today I am here to share with you my 2024 sinking funds plan. This took me way longer than it would take a normal person. Like literally hours and days and an embarrassing amount of time, but I finally figured it out. So I just want to share with you first the things that I did to kind of figure out what the plan was going to be, what my goals were as far as finances, and just make the process probably a little bit easier for you than it was for me. So let's get started. I have some notes here off to the side. So these are just some suggestions I have for, what could make it a little bit easier for you to decide, what your goals are going to be, your financial goals or your sinking funds will be for 2024. So the first thing that I did was kind of look at what sinking funds were the most important to me. So what were my priorities? So the good thing is that I have them all written down here. This is my savings and sinking funds tracker. You can find it on my Etsy shop, but this, I don't even realize sometimes how helpful this is. It's so helpful. I use this thing so much, but it was easy for me to go ahead and look and see what my sinking funds are for 2023 so that I can figure out, what's the most important for next year. All right, so the first thing that I suggest is to take a look at what sinking funds that you have right now. If you haven't met your goals for, this year and you want to roll them over to next year. Also, I want you to think about what things could be coming up throughout this year. So same thing with every year. Anything that might be coming up this year, whether it's something that happens every year, and what could be coming up for this year specifically. Like if you have graduations coming up, weddings, anything that would be outside of your normal budget, you want to make sure you factor that in. I have to factor in, or any parent, of course, has to factor in things like school clothes, books, things that come up throughout the year like that. I also try to figure in fun things like we like to do, like the fair that comes up in the summer, vacations we might want to take, Christmas, of course. So those are all things you want to sit and think about before you decide, where your priorities will be, because of course you want those things to be first, and then, fun comes afterwards. But the bills to me were the most important things that are going to come up regardless. Like the water bill is going to come up regardless. Subscriptions need to be paid regardless. She's going to need school clothes. So those are the things that I was looking at when I was trying to figure out what's the most important to me. I did try to narrow it down to the important sinking funds, because I clearly have a lot and there's more on the next page, but I tried to figure out what were the most important, and those were the ones that I took a look at first. And then I decided what the goal should be for each of them based on how my spending went for 2023. So for 2023, I realized, you'll see some of my videos. I've started, my entire journey has been documented on YouTube as far as, sinking funds and cash stuffing, the whole process. So I was looking at my budget nonstop throughout the year. So I know what things I needed to work on. So I know, for instance, utilities is something that I want to focus on this year, but that'll be part of the budget that I have to go over. I know that school clothes, I want her to have more. I know that Christmas, I wanted to have more in there. I also wanted to narrow down what I have here. So the extra things that I have on here that won't be in my sinking funds for 2024, they will still remain as sinking funds, but they will just be stuffed with any extra income that's unexpected that I have throughout the year, because they're not priorities. So that's number 1, 2, and 3 tip, I guess. Also, you want to review your goal amounts. So that's something that I put down. And then you want to divide it by how many paychecks that you have in a year. So one tip that I also have is to, it got ripped. Don't worry, this was a whole process. But I ripped it. somehow along the way. But I did go in and number how many paychecks that I'm going to get throughout the year. Of course, it's going to be 26, but I wanted to see what month they fall in. I have a magic month you'll see here in January where I get paid 3 times instead of 2. And I also have one in July. So that's why it helped to kind of number. Also, it helped when I was figuring out our birthdays, how many paychecks I have until hers, how many until mine, how many until summer and back to school, Christmas, things like that. So that helps when you're trying to figure out how much you need to set aside for each paycheck. So another thing that I did was I have a video on how I use my tax refund to kind of supplement my income throughout the year. So I use it to pay my car note. So I am expecting a tax refund in about March or April every year, until I make enough to not need to do that. But in the meantime, I do rely heavily on my tax refund to kind of supplement my income. So there were things that I factored in with that. So things that I am going to pay with that, I wanted to make sure that that was part of my goals so that I could kind of relieve some of the tension of how much I'm going to need to save this year. Because there's a lot. I plan on, I'm thinking big. I'm thinking big. I'm not going to say the bad word, but.
Bitch, you think it's small. We need to be thinking big. You need to be thinking big, bitch. Think big, bitch. I mean, I got to go. Big. I can't keep giving people all this goddamn game.
I'm thinking big. But I also want to be realistic. So I did factor in, what could help me. I also factored in estimation of YouTube income to help me kind of supplement those as well. So I thought of everything. That's probably why it took me so damn long, but I tried to think of everything. Okay, so lastly, I have been trying to decide what I was going to do for my planning for 2024 as far as, my weekly productivity and things like that. So, because I always try to plan every week in advance. I try to plan the week either on Saturday or Sunday for the upcoming week. You guys have seen, maybe you have seen those videos, but I do have planning videos on how I try to stay productive throughout the week as far as chores, meal planning, events that we have to go to, things that I have to do for work. So in that, the only reason I bring up that, not so important thing is because that is how I decided I'm going to factor that into my budget. So I will show you guys all my planning things in a separate video. Some people like to watch those videos. Some people don't, and that's okay. So I am going to put it separately. But in that process of trying to figure out that plan and buying my happy planner, I decided that I'm not going to plan the year. I'm just not. First of all, like I said, this budget took me forever. So even before doing the budget, I was looking at my planning for the next year and trying to figure things out. And it just took so long. That's why I'm so late to the party. Like everybody else is ready for next year. But here I am. And I decided I'm not going to plan the whole year. So I was looking for alternatives and I found the 12-week year. I didn't read the book yet. I kind of listened to the audio book, but I was doing other things. So I will read the book. That's one of my goals for the year. But I will go over the goals as well. Anyway, back to the 12-week year. Basically, you are splitting up your year into 4 quarters. This kind of just makes you narrow down your goals and helps you to prioritize and to stay focused and also feel more accomplished. So you have 12 weeks to finish a goal instead of a whole year. So instead of your New Year's resolution being once a year, and then if you start failing, you give up until next year, we're going to do that every 12 weeks. So we're going to have 4 times, or 1, 2, 3, whatever. We're going to have more chances to figure out our goals, readjust where we need to readjust. So I really like the idea. I shared it with a friend and they're also going to do the same thing. So I'm very excited about this, like super excited, because I get overwhelmed quick, but I also have a lot of goals. So I am very excited. I do have, like I said, I'll go over that in a separate video, but that's how I broke down my goals. So let me show you what I did for my savings challenges. So what I decided to do was, instead of using this that I've been using for my savings challenges, I have changed. So I'm going to keep this in here because I do have my succulent challenge. This has a goal of $700 and it's not done. So I will be working on finishing that in the first quarter. So the first quarter is from January 1st through March 31st. So the rest of that has to be done by the end of March. So I am going to focus on getting that completed along with the new goals that I have. So I have a new binder here. And what I ended up deciding to do was to make my sinking funds savings challenges. So I've done that before. My vacation right now is that succulent challenge that I just showed you. So that is a sinking fund, which I made a savings challenge. Also last year for my daughter's school clothes, that I made into a savings challenge. And pet emergency was a savings challenge. So this year, all of my important sinking funds are now savings challenges. It was just easier and smarter to me to combine them, and it'll just make it fun, and it'll help me stay on task. So instead of planning the whole year, I broke them down into quarters, and I'm just gonna focus on quarter one, which again is January 1st through March 31st. So a lot of talking, sorry, but here is my savings challenge binder. So like I said, I've broken it down into quarters. So I have in here home maintenance, clothing for my daughter's school clothes or whatever clothes she needs throughout the year. I have vacation, passports, which, you know, there was no sticker, of course. Stickers are going to be the death of me. I need to make my own. Birthday. I have home shopping, which is home goals, these are all already sinking funds that I had already. Christmas and car maintenance, which I have $500 already in car maintenance. And I realized that I needed to save more, which was funny because as I was creating this, I've been creating this for a few days. I'd already decided I wanted to put more in car maintenance, and somebody commented today that I needed to put more in it, and he or she was absolutely right. I don't remember what their name was, but they were actually absolutely right. I need to add more, and that was the plan. Also, emergency fund I have in here. I do have an emergency fund already. Right now, it is at $2,000 and it's in the bank. That is contributed to every pay period with $100. So my goal for this year is going to be, that's not right. The goal for this quarter is $500. So let me explain each one, better details. I do feel like I'm going to need a bigger binder and bigger envelopes. So that's something I'm going to need to purchase at some point. But for now, maybe I'll do that with my YouTube income. For now, housing, first quarter, home maintenance, the goal will be $200 for this quarter. Total goal is going to be $600. So home maintenance, like I said, that's for anything that I need throughout the house, any handyman work, any paint that I need. So the goal is to be done with this probably by summertime so that I can start doing some work in the house, spring or summer. Clothing, this goal total is $700. This is for my daughter's school clothes or clothes that she needs throughout the year. So in the first quarter, which is the one that we're going into in January, is going to be $200 goal. Vacation, quarter one goal is $75. Total goal is $1,500. Passports, total goal is $300. First quarter, we're only going to do $150. Birthdays, quarter one, $350. So the first quarter, we're going to finish this challenge, hopefully. All I want to put is $350 for birthdays. Last year, I think my goal was like $500 for each of us, which was like unnecessary. Also, we're going to be taking a trip for her birthday next year, so I'm not going crazy with birthdays this year. She gets $200, I get $150. We're planning for vacations and Christmas, so birthdays are low priority this year. Next year will be her big birthday, Sweet 16 bash. Home shopping, which is also home goals. Like I said, the stickers were not cooperating. The goal for this quarter is $240, and the goal for the year is $350. So that is just for a lawnmower right now. If I can afford something later after that, then that's what I'll deal with then. Christmas goal is $1,200. Quarter one goal is $500. I do realize these goals are a lot. I will explain in further detail what the plan will be in detail. I just said that twice. Car maintenance, like I said, goal is $1,500 for this year. Quarter one is just $500, which we already have existing. So that existing $500 will go in here. I didn't have a separate challenge. These challenges I got from Temu for like $2.50. So I didn't want to buy anymore. I didn't want to print them out. But for now, this is what I'm using. Who knows what I'll change in the next quarter, but for now. So since these are on back of each other, I put another envelope in here so for the cash to go in here. Like I said, I'll probably need bigger envelopes. And then lastly, we have emergency fund. These little butterflies are $125 each. The goal for emergency fund is $500 in cash. So the total goal for emergency fund is going to be $5,000. So I've already done the math, and for the emergency fund, it comes out of my paycheck every pay period, $100, 26 pay periods, that's $2,600. There's already $2,000 existing, so I am going to put $500 in there. I think that math works out to be more than $5,000. Let's see. There's $2,000 in there right now, like I said. And then my paychecks, I have $100 every pay period, 26 pay periods, that's $2,600. Child, that's $4,600, and then we're adding $5,100. So that's the goal, and that's of course if everything works out the way that it's planned, and if I don't have to use any savings. So that's a big if. These are goals, big goals. If I don't meet them all, 100% okay. But if I get 80-75% of the way, I'll still be covered with all of these. So, you know, and I also numbered them. You see the numbers here at the bottom. So these are numbered in as far as importance to me. And also I figured out the importance, and I also figured out the time frame. So when they're due, like her school clothes has to be done by summer. I want home maintenance to be done by spring. Vacation needs to be done by summer. Passports needs to be done like ASAP. So because there's like a backlog of getting passports, we tried to get it last year and it didn't work out. So birthdays of course has to be done by our birthdays this summer. Home goals, it's a lawnmower, so I want to get that done as soon as possible. But that one is lower priority because I do have a lawnmower right now. It's just electric and annoying. Christmas, of course, is lower in the priority because it's further away. Car maintenance, lower in the priority because there's some in there. And if I need to take any out of car maintenance, knock on fake wood, then I can always take it from the emergency fund. And emergency fund, of course, is last because there are some funds in there. They're just not, you know, this is just a extra goal. All right, so now let me show you how I plan to accomplish all of these goals, because clearly that's a lot of money in there. So I did the breakdown. Y'all know I love a detailed breakdown. So here's my breakdown. So you'll see quarter one, I've already figured out there's 7 paydays between January and March 31st. So there's an extra payday in there for January. So I knew that I could put more goals in the first quarter because I'll have that extra paycheck. So first thing I did was look at the goals for the quarter, wrote those all down. These are all in order as far as importance and time frame. Then I wrote down the existing. So these are existing sinking funds. So I'm going to move those funds that are already existing in these categories over to the new savings challenge binder. Just so I can keep them all in one place. So that's how much I can subtract from the total goal, $865. So there we are. Boom, knocked off a big chunk. Always fund. So you guys know I have an always fund. That is a binder full of envelopes that I contribute to every pay period. So those are important priorities that I am going to contribute to every time that I get paid. So normally in the next few quarters, I'll end up adding more to home maintenance and her clothes. But because I had more paychecks, I had more paychecks and the goals were smaller. I had more to contribute to other things. So normally only home goals and her clothes will be in the always fund. And you'll see that breakdown here. But since I had extra paychecks and extra money, I was also able to put the always fund and home goals, the birthdays and home goals into the always fund. Even though they're considered the always fund, I am not going to put these things in the binder. Maybe I'll put these things in the savings challenge binder. I don't know. I don't really care about where they are. I care about the money that I put in them. So this is my plan for the always fund. This is actually only a budget for 2024 that I've, planned out. And you'll see that always fund went back up to $100. So I do have to figure out where that extra $25 is coming from, but I did get a small raise, so I'm hoping it'll at least be $25 extra pay period. It should be. It should be. So that's my existing that's going to go in there. That's the plan for the always fund. So what I did was I divided how much was left. So 200 minus the 95 is $105 that needs to go to home maintenance. So I divided that by 7 paychecks. So $15 every pay period will go into home maintenance. $15 every pay period will go into her clothes. 15 into birthday, and 10 into home goals. So these savings challenges will, those few ones that I mentioned will come from my always fund, and that's a total of $385. So $55 every pay period will go to savings challenges. Hopefully that makes sense to you. And then I'm also going to be using my YouTube fund to contribute to these savings challenges and to these goals. So, which is going to bother me in the moment, $225 coming from YouTube. That $225 is divided by 3. So every time that I get a YouTube paycheck, it's $75 because this is a quarter. Remember, this is 3 months. So $75 will go to my, is that right? So 20, 50, and 15. Yep. 60 plus 150 plus 15 divided by 3. Yep. $75 for my YouTube income, which is a big chunk because my YouTube income is only like $150 to $160, sometimes lower than that. But we're going to do better. You guys are going to help me. You're going to share my videos. You're going to watch these ads. You're going to like and comment, and we're going to do this together. I'm counting on you. I'll be here to try to give you good content along the way. But in the remaining balances here is what's left. So with these goals and these plans, I should have an extra $5 ahead for her clothing. And then I should have to pay $245 for birthdays, $115 for home goals, and $400 for Christmas. This I'm going to have to find with my regular paychecks. So, you know, after I take out my fixed expenses, my variable expenses, and my always fund, and my regular auto savings, I'm going to have to find money here. I'm going to have to find approximately $105 extra every payday. So that will have to be with overtime. It'll have to be with Etsy income. It'll have to be with YouTube income, whatever. It has to be made with these goals. So sometimes I might have more than other times, but I'm definitely going to go back into doing overtime. I did not do a lot this month at all because of restrictions, but I'll be going back to it. Don't you worry. I did do some today. That's pretty much it. The goals for the year, I'm not going to worry about yet. I did break them down in the quarters, but you know, for time's sake and for understanding's sake for you guys, I'm focusing on 1 quarter at a time. So you guys will see, hopefully, my progress. I always come in and show you my cash stuffings and my budget. So we'll be able to see at the end of this quarter. I'll do a quarterly review. We'll figure out where we are, and then we'll get planned for quarter 2. So just like I do my monthly budgets, I'll do my quarterly sinking fund savings challenge plan. So we can see where we are and reevaluate and see if we need to change some things. So the first quarter is really just a trial to see if we can, you know, handle this and we can stay on track. I also am, like I said, I did factor in some taxes, so that'll be in quarter 2 to see what I can contribute to with my tax refund, you know, once I know how much it is and how much I can contribute to everything. But off the top, you guys know my car note comes out of there, so off the top, $2,700 has to come from my taxes to go to the car note that it pays every year, because I don't have room in my budget to pay for my car note. So that's the goal. I also do pay extra on my car note every month. The bill is only $220 and I pay $250, and that is in an effort to pay that off as soon as possible. So the goal is to have that paid off by 2025, by the end of 2025. So, all right. I think that's it for me. I mean, I will come back and show you my YouTube income that I got for this month. I'm going to show you my analytics in that one too. I haven't done that before. So analytics is basically, you know, how many subscribers I got that month, how many watch hours. So all the things that contributed to how much I got paid for November. So I did get that paycheck. I have to pull the funds out, and I'll show you my cash stuffing and my budget for that. These won't be included in that budget, of course, because this is for 2024. So the first paycheck that I get in January, we'll start working on this. So that is it for me today. I hope that made sense. Tell me what you think. Honestly, I might be being a little bit unrealistic, but that's okay. Like I said, we're thinking big. We're not restricting our thinking and our goals. We are making the big goals, and then we're taking steps to reach them. Hopefully. But that's what a goal is. It's something to reach for. So that's it for me today. I want you to always remember it is about progression and not about perfection. Thanks for watching. Happy savings, everybody. Bye.